What aviator doesn't want a car that goes fast? When I saw the car, it took my breath away. I'm so very grateful that Dad was honored in that way. Some of the first times I got to feel like I shared an experience with my dad were the experiences I had at Texas A&M. There's not a time I remember not asking where Dad was. My dad, Captain Ron Forrester, he was fighting Texas Aggie Class of '69. And after graduation, he was commissioned into the Marine Corps. He went off to become a bombardier navigator of the A-6A Intruder. He was deployed to Southeast Asia in August of 1972. On December 27th, he and his pilot, Captain Jim Chipman from Utah, flew into the danger zone there on a night mission, and they never returned to base. Our family was notified a couple of days later that my dad was missing in action. I was 2 years old at the time. When I was 8 is when Jimmy Carter declared all MIAs to be dead. And at that point in time, our family started to plan a memorial service at Arlington National Cemetery. That was my first big confrontation with, here we're having a funeral, but we have no body. We don't have really an answer. Run for the Wall is a cross-country motorcycle ride starting in Ontario, California, and ending in Washington, D.C., going to the Vietnam Veterans War Memorial for Memorial Day weekend. And this year was our 35th anniversary. It's a four-pronged mission: promote veterans healing, call for the accounting of our POWs and MIAs, honor the fallen from all wars, and support our active duty military worldwide. The thing that got me involved was the POW MIA part, not the motorcycle part. That was 15 years ago for me. Now I make 200 bios that get carried across country and left at the wall so that at every stop along the way, the riders can put that bio on the windshield, and when the communities come out to look at all the cool bikes, you've got these billboards that have faces of our missing. I was 14 when I first met other MIA family members.
Tina here was 6 years old last time she saw her father, and she's still waiting for answers.
That's really, I guess, when it all began for me. And I began going to meetings in Washington, D.C. I really kind of went on a mission to educate myself as much as possible. They first started visiting Dad's site in the early 1990s. We started really making progress in 2020. Then the pandemic hit. In late 2021, another team listened in. In February, March of 23, they brought home a tooth and some osseous material. They were able to give me a preliminary excavation summary report that showed they had found Jim Chipman's dog tag and found a small piece of a credit card with my dad's name on it. Then I knew they were in the right place. That was our crash site. They were able to identify the teeth as belonging to Captain Jim Chipman. Less than a month later, I'd missed a call, and I had a text message from my casualty officer, and he said, "Give me a call when you can, I have positive news to report." My daughter and my husband happened to be home that morning. I had the phone on speaker when he said, "We got a match, we got him." Your mind's racing a million miles an hour, wanting to make sure you're asking all the right questions. It was 3 weeks shy of the 51st anniversary of his shootout.
So today we finally lay Captain Ronald Forrester to rest here in the hallowed ground.
Before I had an answer, I would not have been able to label really the anguish really that I felt, not knowing what had happened to him. The word is torment. I was very tormented with all of the things that could have happened to him. When I knew for sure that he was gone before that plane hit the ground, I was able to label it. The torment stopped. And it is so important for 1,571 other families that torment finally stopped. I met a man in New Mexico. He'd been standing out watching all the bikes come in with Run for the Wall. and brought him inside and sat down and talked with him, and I was telling him how he's not alone. And his tears came down his face. He said, sometimes it really feels that way. There's so many people that care, and families don't feel that enough. We break off multiple times throughout the route and visit not only MIA families, but also go and honor our KIA families along the way too. The 3 main routes getting to DC all arrive and converge on the same day. Saturday morning, everybody meets at the Lincoln Memorial for a huge group picture. And then everybody goes to a wall together. And the 3 route coordinators lay a plaque that says mission accomplished. The first few days on the run, you're going through the desert. So there's a lot of nothing to look at and a lot of time to think. You got a whole lot of sky to stare into. And I did have what I would call a grace-filled epiphany on the motorcycle. That my dad died flying, not crashing. And he left this world from the sky. And that's where he wanted to be. And that brings him comfort. It was going to be my first time to go visit Dad's grave since we laid him to rest. I've spent many times going to Arlington to visit a marker, but this time I was going to get to visit his grave. We loaded up and headed to Charlotte. Probably the way I felt about first getting on a motorcycle and going down the highway, like I'm gonna do what? NASCAR was a whole new world too. I was super excited, and I just knew Dad had to be so excited. What aviator doesn't want a car that goes fast, right? When I saw the car, it took my breath away. Daddy was the first Forester to go to Texas A&M, definitely not the last. I was seeking that connection with Dad, having no idea on what level that was gonna happen and how very deeply rooted Texas A&M would be as part of a bond with me and my father.